Well, hello, Stu. How are you?
Wonderful, Glenn. How are you?
My gosh, just so great. Friday. It's Friday. It's been it's a very, very, very long week. And if you've been listening to the program, and I don't want to overshare, but that's what I do. Okay, I make people uncomfortable by oversharing, and then usually my wife will say some point in the evening, "Well, that's what happens. That's why we don't have any friends, hon." But it's been a long week. My kids have moved out of the house. We moved out of our house, and I cried over a gravy boat this week. And I know, I'm prone to tears, but as a man, a gravy boat shouldn't be. It wasn't even a gravy boat. It was just like this stupid little, I don't even know, gravy boat. And we were packing up the house, and we were just giving a bunch of stuff away. And this stupid gravy boat, and I'm packing it up to give it away, and I look at it, and all of a sudden I remember my children, because this is what Tanya she would make spaghetti sauce every Sunday, and she would put the spaghetti sauce in that. And I remembered the faces of my children, pouring the spaghetti sauce out. And I'm just like, I just start bursting into tears, and I'm like, we can't give away the gravy boat. It's been a wild week. So I'm glad it's Friday. Let me start with something. You saw the Sydney Sweeney ad. Can we replay the ad, please? I think it's cut 23.
You can take the dude out of the country. You can't take the country out of the dude.
Okay, so let me just say this. DEI and all of this politically correct crap is dying. However, have you noticed the pushback on this? It's not going away quietly into this. It is kicking and screaming as the American people are trying to just put a spear in it. It's a vampire, and we have got to put a giant stake in its heart, or it'll come back over and over and over again. But the average person is, they're human. I hate to break it to progressives, but you're dealing with humans. And socialists, communists, you should know this. You can't change human nature. You can coax it, you can inspire it, but you're not going to change it. We are built as a species this way for a reason. Here's an idea. Guys like hot-looking women. Why? Otherwise, the species dies out. God created us this way. What do you think? Think about how, honestly, I don't mean to but think about how icky sex really is. If you just think of it as clinically, it's pretty icky, right? It's pretty icky. And I think that's the clinical word for it. But, everybody loves it. Why? Because it feels good. Do you think it feels good out of happenstance? It feels good because that's God going, how am I going to get these people to do this? How am I going to get them? How am I going to get them to do this all the time? Otherwise, the species, I could tell them, hey, you got to do this or the species will die out. And everybody would be like, nah, no, thank you. And we'd be doomed. That's why we're attracted. That's why we have these things that are going on. You can't deny that. And if you try to deny that, it's a really bad thing. You can control it as an individual, but if you try to beat it out of people, it's just not going to happen. So they're doing everything they can to tell us that we should all be attracted to people who are wildly out of shape, like me, or really unattractive, again, like me. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so now the natural man and natural woman are coming back to say, yeah, I'm really tired of this fat is beautiful thing, because it's really not. It's really not. And it's not healthy either. You can see as all of these things are starting to happen. Notice that Nike did the ad with the golfer. What was the golfer's name, Stu, with the baby?
Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, what a great ad that is. But you notice that one's not getting the pushback that the Sydney Sweeney one is. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen any pushback on that. It's
No.
just, hey, a
It's
dad with
universally
his kid.
great.
Yeah,
it's just universally great, right? The Sydney Sweeney thing, that one's getting hammered. Now, I want to bring something to you that people are saying, we're not sure if this is really her or if this is AI. This is to give you an example of how this is the first test that you need to give yourself every time you see a story. You see something in the news. And again, remember, we're not sure if this is AI or not. Okay. The first test you take is this making me really, really, really unbelievably happy to hear it? Because if it is, most likely you should pause before you say that's real. Okay? Because it just makes you feel so good, probably has a good chance it's not real. This really made me feel good. I think this is cut 24. Here's, quote, Sydney Sweeney about the controversy.
It has come to my attention that fat, ugly chicks are upset by my American Eagle ad. And that's honestly so funny because fashion is only for attractive people. I mean, who are you kidding? I'm sorry, you're disgusting, but this product, it's not for you. Liberal women are such spiteful bitches sometimes, but it's not their fault, I guess. Some of them are just born hideous, and that's tough. I also just want to say that throughout this ad campaign, people have been guessing my political views, and against the wishes of my publicist, I'm going to share that I'm way more right-wing than you could ever imagine.
Now, this is the first time I've seen the video. That's obviously not her. But if you're just hearing the audio, you're like, okay, I mean, would I like that to be true? Mm-hmm. But no, it's not. No, it's not. Now, I would have to say the same on the other side, because this is a response from the Democrats and a congresswoman. I want you to watch cut 25, please.
Look, all we're saying is that we want representation, okay? If Republicans are going to have beautiful girls with perfect titties in their ads, we want ads for Democrats too, We want ugly, fat bitches wearing pink wigs and long fake nails being loud and twerking on top of a cop car at a Waffle House because they didn't get extra ketchup, Just because we're the party of ugly people doesn't mean we can't be featured in ads, okay? And I know most of us are too fat to wear jeans or too ugly to go outside, but we want representation.
Klobuchar. I don't think that's actually her.
What tipped you off on that one? Was there a specific?
She made sense.
Oh yeah.
She was speaking the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know. That one was a little harder. Because that's absolutely true, what she said. But
yeah, did you see that? I think it was Gavin Newsom posted, some photo of Donald Trump crying, or J.D. Vance. I can't remember who. It was one of the Republicans, doing something, and it was an obvious AI photo. And people were pointing out that the law that he wanted to pass, which would make, it was being challenged in court, but it would make AI representations that aren't clearly marked illegal.
Oh, that's right.
He violated his own law by posting that.
Oh, my gosh.
So, it's funny because these things there's always room for parody, and these both of those videos you played were both so over the line and overt that you could tell, right? Just because of what they were saying. Obviously, they would never say those things. Right. But we're not far away from a situation where you're not going to be able to tell. And I think now you could do it if you really wanted to and make it so you couldn't tell.
You spend time and money, you can absolutely do it. You see the Dave Rubin look-alike?
No.
So Dave Rubin is going on, his August vacation, and so he did an interview with himself, AI Dave, and you can tell because you could tell it's AI first of all because everything he says, the AI answers with something like, that is a really good comment. AI. That's how AI is if it's telling you you're a genius.
Right.
No matter what you say. I was thinking about putting my hands in shoes and walking on my hands all the time. And AI will go, that is a very good idea. You know, one of the that's the best thing about you is your creativity. And but anyway, but it looks just like Dave. Looks just like him. Sounds like him. Just doesn't have, you know, his sensibility at all. But that's, do you remember, Stu? We should find the old show that I did 5 or 6 years ago when I couldn't get anybody to pay attention to deep fakes. And I said, no, you don't understand. And we played a deep fake, I think, of me, just my voice at the time. And it was so digitized and so bad, you just had to listen. You could tell, you know, it's obviously a computer, but you could hear the beginnings of it capturing my voice. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I said, it won't be long before they'll nail this. The good thing is it's harder to nail the voice than it is the image, believe it or not. But now there's no difference. The only thing is just the expression is not quite right. It still doesn't have any life to it, any life behind it. And but that'll change.
We keep holding on to this idea that we can tell. You know, there's that uncanny valley sort of aspect that
it's gone.
I don't even think it's. I wouldn't say it's gone yet. Honestly, like there's still.
It's going to be.
It's going to be gone, and we're not far away. I think there's this hope that like humans have this sort of internal detector that's going to be able to pick this stuff off for a long time, and I don't think so. I mean, I think right now I can still tell a lot of the times. You know, there's like weird hesitations. I mentioned this to you. I don't know if we said this on the air or off the air, but quickly, I was listening to a podcast that had like an interview at the front of it, and the back of it was like a news update. It was like a 10-minute news update. So I listened to the interview, which was real, and then I went into the second part, and it was a news update, and I was listening to it, and it just felt off to me. Like you know, it was in the second. It was in the background as I'm driving. I wasn't paying that close of attention. And then at one point, it was a financial podcast, and they got to a point where they were describing a change in 401ks, and they said 401ks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, and then I was like, oh, gosh, this is AI, right? Like, you know, at that point, I definitely knew, but I felt it beforehand. Like, there's something wrong. Is this AI? I don't know. So
there's something to it, and I hope this remains. I hope this is what you're talking about, and it's accurate. It's almost as if you can feel there's no soul behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just and it gets worse once you know it. If you're listening to something and it's just a little off, you know, and it's just not connecting exactly right. But once you know it's AI, then it's glaring. There's no soul behind it. But I wonder if we're ever going to be able to close the gap of. I hope we don't. Where you can't feel the life or the soul that's missing. Does that make sense to you? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, that's kind of what I was talking about. Like I'm hoping, like I think there's a belief that maybe we just have this ability, this inherent ability to do that. Yeah. I do wonder about it though. I mean, there are times where it's really difficult to figure out, and it's just getting more and more difficult by the day.
But, let me tell you something. Hang on. Let me take 1 minute and I'm just write something down so I don't forget. Let me tell you experience where that may be absolutely wrong. You may not be able to tell in the future. Hang on just a second. Let me tell you about burner launcher. Some people carry around fear like it's normal, like it's a fact of life. They stay away from certain places. They walk faster to their car at night and tell themselves, just to get home safe. Listen closely, because there is a legal, non-lethal option that is changing the game for personal protection. I carry one. It's the Byrna Compact Launcher. The Byrna, the older one, is really great, a lot of fun, great for the house, but to carry it's rather large. It's more like a SIG, what is it, SIG 223, 229, I can't remember. But it's a big gun. The compact launcher is very small, fits within your hand. You can carry it on you, concealed, and you wouldn't notice. And you can put it in a purse. You know, hey, I'm not going to judge you. Or, you know, maybe you could give it to your wife to put in her purse. I'm giving one, a small one, to my daughter because my daughter has moved out of the house, and I want her to, when she moves into her new apartment there by the school, I want to make sure that she's protected, and she's not going to carry a gun. She just won't. But I want the peace of mind knowing that she's safe. That's where the Byrna launcher comes in. The Byrna compact launcher, 38% smaller than the standard model, packs the same energy per square inch as the law enforcement launcher. It fires kinetic and pepper and tear gas projectiles up to 60 feet away. And the best part, it is legal in all 50 states, requires no permit or background check. I'm not saying you'll ever need it. I hope you don't. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where someone won't take no for an answer, I, as a dad, am glad that Byrna is around. Byrna, BYRNA.com. Learn more. Try before you buy at Sportsman's Warehouse. Get one near you. You can find it at Byrna, BYRNA.com. Go there now. Check this out, Byrna.com. 10 seconds. So I told you this before, and Stu, you have got to go before. I mean, you should go to. Have you ever been to England?
I have not. No.
Okay, I've only been there once. Besides being in an airport, and you should go. If anybody can afford to go to Europe or England, you should go now because it's not long before it won't be England or Europe anymore. But in England, they have this, I don't remember what it's called, this ABBA show. And the kids and Tanya, we love ABBA. And, we'd be out in the pool every summer since they were little, and we'd be listening to ABBA and singing in the pool and, fooling around as a family. And so the kids love ABBA. And Rafe knew what we were going to go see, but we didn't tell Cheyenne what it was. We just said we're going to go see ABBA. And they're all excited. Now, this is 2 years ago, maybe. So they're close to adults. I mean, they're not kids. And we go into the show, and it took them like 5 years to produce because they're the first to do it. And now the technology is there like crazy. But it's hard to explain because it's not, a hologram doesn't sound right. It is projection of some sort, 3D. They took, I think, 300 cameras on each of them and filmed them. And the lighting, the way this computer is the graphics are so amazing because the lights are real in the room. You're seeing the light go on, and it will track right on their clothing. It will throw the shadow on the ground the right way. It is crazy. And I said to like the second or third song, Rafe and I were talking about it because we were so amazed by it. And I said, let's see what Cheyenne thinks. I said, hey, Cheyenne. And she said, what? And I said, do they look real to you? And she looked at me like I was crazy. And she said, what? And I said, do they look real to you? She said, of course they look real. I said, they're not. She said, what are you talking about? I said, that's not them. That's a hologram. She didn't believe me at first.
Wow.
I mean, the technology, the things that we can do right now are stunning. And used in good ways, that's great. But I hope that uncanny valley stays at least on the one-on-one experiences, where you're listening to somebody or you're hearing them and you can tell it's not really them.
This is Glenn Beck.
All right, let me tell you about Cozy Earth. You know the feeling when you crawl into bed and immediately know this is going to be a good night? The pillows are just right. The sheets are cool. The air is still. And for those few precious hours, the world just leaves you alone. That feeling now has a name. It's Cozy Earth. They make luxury bedding, real luxury, not the kind that just looks nice. Their sheets are made from material that's light, breathable, and temperature regulating, so they feel good when you're hot, warm, when you're cold, and incredibly soft. It's not just the sheets. They have a ton of other products, including their pajamas. Tanya loves them. I wear them every night. They're really, really great. Their clothing is great. Their pants, stretchy, but, they're just perfect. I really like them. And breathable. It's Cozy Earth. It's a gift for you or for anybody else. Once you try them and just try them one night, you'll love them. And you'll have Cozy Earth all around you. CozyEarth.com. Use the promo code BECK. 40% off the softest bedding, bathware, and other apparel. It's CozyEarth.com. Promo code BECK. CozyEarth.com. promo code is Beck. Built for real life and made to keep up with yours.
Keep up to date on everything you need to know with the free email newsletter at glennbeck.com. Subscribe now, glennbeck.com.
It's Friday. Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. We have John Solomon coming up in just a minute from Just the News. He is a journalist, formerly of the Wall Street Journal. He was with the New York Times, Washington Post. And then he was like, you know what? I don't think they're telling the truth. And started his own thing. He is, I think, one of the best reporters in America. And he has been really tracking the story that broke yesterday and all of the stories leading up to it. And I wanted to get him on to talk about what was released yesterday. So he's coming up in about a half an hour.
Yeah, and that's kind of the big story, I think the biggest story of the day. You know, outside of Sydney Sweeney video on radio. But it's funny because it's like, it's such a big story and such a big development. And you can see the media is already going into overdrive to sort of try to push it down and give you reasons why you shouldn't believe it. Yeah. But we wanted to make sure we started with the guy who kind of broke the story, which is John Solomon. Yeah. And he's coming up here in a little bit.
Yeah, so don't go anywhere on that. I also, it's Friday, and I wanted to sweep up on some things that we were talking about earlier this week. You know, I've talked this week. I've really tried to talk to young men, and talk to you if you're parenting a young man, because they're really struggling, and they've been taught lies their whole life. And they've been told to be something that they're not. You know, it's kind of like I was saying, you know, earlier. I'm sorry, but guys are attracted to beautiful women. I remember walking down we were in the mall, my dad and I were walking, and this beautiful woman passed us, who, you know, had, you know, as my father would have said, a nice caboose. And she walks past us. Now, my dad is shuffling along. He's 75, almost 80 at this point. And I said to him as she passed, I know where my eyes went immediately. And I said to him, I said, Dad, can I ask you something? He said, sure. I said, does the feeling of, and that's all I said. And he stopped me and he went, nope. It never goes away. You see it no matter how old you are. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, that's how guys think. And you can try really hard to be, you know, moral and decent, and you can accomplish those things, but you can't change nature. And that's exactly what people have been saying, lying to boys about, you know, they're bad, they're too aggressive. They're not protectors. You don't stand up and open the door for women. And, you know, I don't even know. What is toxic masculinity? How would you define that?
God, other than just woke nonsense. Yeah. They say it's like you believe in male entitlement, right? Well,
that's not male toxicity. That's just stupid. It's just wrong.
Yeah, right. I mean, the question is whether it's real or not. I mean, I don't. Right. I mean, I don't know anyone who thinks like this, right? Like, it's just, you know.
I'm sure there are, but they're Neanderthals.
Right. Emphasis on emotional suppression, valorization of aggression and dominance.
Yeah. See, that is, you know, and that is true, but it's taken so far to where you're not supposed to be a man. You're not supposed to stand up. You're not, you know, there's never need for a warrior. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. You know, you don't always have to lead. No, you don't always have to lead. But, you know, a lot of women like a man who knows where they're going and says, hey, where are you going? Let's put these two things together. Let's go. You know, and it just, the secret to success in life, I think, is confidence. Without being arrogant, it's confidence. I think the sexiest thing in a woman is she knows who she is. And she's not afraid of it. She's not afraid of showing, you know, her weaknesses. She's not afraid of of being who she is, whether the world likes it or not. I find that very, very attractive. And I think most people are like that. And so, here are guys, they've been told, sit down, shut up, you take this medication, you're too aggressive, all of this stuff. And now they're left at a place to where they don't have meaning in life. They don't know what anything is. There's nothing real. They don't have to talk to people, and this is on both male and female. You don't have to talk to people anymore. You never grew up having those uncomfortable moments because it's all been texting, even if you're sitting next to one another. And, I look at my son, his friends, et cetera, who are great kids, great guys. I'm just so proud of my children and their friends, but they're still lost. This is a lost generation. And you have to, it is so hard. You have to find out who you really are, what you really are. And, I've heard people say, fake it until you make it. And I guess that's somewhat true because you have to break these habits. And I remember my father, he was such a help to me when I was, recovering from my alcoholism and trying to figure life out. And, I just said, I was on the phone. I don't remember what I said, but I was saying something about, Dad, I just have all these problems and he said, you are living a lie. And I said, I know, that's one of my problems. And he's like, no, you are living a lie. He said, I want you to do something. He said, I want you to get up tomorrow morning and I want you to tonight, I want you to put a notepad and a pencil or a pen next to the bed. The minute you open your eyes, I want you to take and put a line down the middle of the sheet and just put a P and an N, positive, negative. And he said, don't judge the thoughts, don't think of the thoughts, don't pursue them. Just look at everything that goes through your mind, every fleeting thought that goes through your mind from the minute you wake up until you go to bed that night, and just put a hash mark. Was that a positive or a negative? He said, you are focused all on the negative about you. And so I did that. And I remember I called him about noon that day because it was, I'll never forget, it was like 5:38 a.m. I had been up for about an hour. And I had gotten dressed, got out of bed, gotten dressed, got into the car. I was halfway to work, and I was sitting at a stoplight in Hamden, Connecticut. I can see right where it was. And I'm sitting at the stoplight, and I pick up my pen, and I put 2 hash marks down in the N category. And I realized there wasn't a single P in that category or on that paper, not one. And there was probably 20 N's. And I called my dad and I said, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And he's like, that is the problem. Your thinking is what creates your life. What you think about yourself, how you look at life, what you think. All thought, this is really important, all thought is creative. God thinks it, he speaks it, and it becomes. You think it, you speak it, and it becomes. It's why I try my hardest never to say things like, I'm just a screwed up person. No, I'm not. I'm somebody finding my way. I'm somebody really searching for the truth. You have to change that and break that, because until you can say, I just told my son this just the other day, you got to start saying to yourself, I'm strong. I'm positive. I'm getting better every day. I'm getting stronger every day. I'm getting healthier every day. I'm understanding the world more and more every day. Instead of saying, I'm just so confused. I'm just so lost. And that is natural to say. We tend towards the negative anyway. And let me show you this. This is in action. Now, this almost got a friend of mine who's now my new CEO of my new company, The Torch. One of the reasons why I want to work with him and wanted to work with him for a few years is because he's one of the most optimistic guys I know. And he is a guy he's a serial entrepreneur. He's always curious about things, and he has just created great teams and done it over and over and over again in his life. And he doesn't need to do it anymore, but he wants to. And we were talking for a while about putting something completely different together as a company. And the other day I was having a really bad day. You've heard it because if you listen to me this week, you know. And he came over to the house, and I was in a mood. And he comes over to the house, and I have a glass door at the front door. And I come up, and there he is with his smiley-ass smile on his face. And he's just happy. He's always happy. He's like a dog that's always wagging its tail. It's always like, I'm so glad to see you. And sometimes you're like, back off. And I open up the door, and he's not even in yet. I open up the door, and I said, Lynn, are you always happy? And he said, yeah, I am. And I said, I'm going to have a hard time with this conversation tonight because I'm not happy right now. And he said, you know, Glenn, and he's walking in, you know, Glenn, I found that happiness is a choice. And I said, wow, I understand that because I realize right now that punching you in the face is a choice. And I'm choosing not to punch you in the face. And he still stood there, and he just laughed. And then he smiled back at me, and he's like, see, it's all a choice. This is a guy who's actually mastered that. I'm not a guy who's mastered that. But once you understand that everything in your life is a choice, nothing is happening to you that you can't choose to look at it in a different way, in a positive way. Not just saying that you're denying things, because I really felt like a fraud for a while. My father said, change your thinking, change your life. And he said, you have to start telling yourself things. And I said, but Dad, I don't believe those things right now. And he said, you will. He said, but you have spent your whole life telling yourself you're this when that's not true. He said, so now you just have to, every time you have a negative thought, he said, remember, it takes about 10 positive to overcome a negative. You have to figure out what that thought is and then change the way you think about that. So instead of saying, oh, I'm just so lost, I am finding my own way. I'm finding a different way. I'm finding a new way. I am right now really searching for this new path. He said, if you do that, eventually you will believe that about yourself. And honestly, I didn't believe that. When he said that, I said, I don't think so. And he said, well, I'm 70, you're 30. What do you say you give me the benefit of the doubt and give it a whirl? And I did. And it totally changed my life. Totally changed my life. That is the one thing that we have to convince our young men of. You are not who everyone has said you are. You are not somebody who is boxed out. And by the way, you can't say to yourself, I'm not unhappy, because your brain doesn't understand positive and negative like that. It just is. It will create whatever the overall action is. So we have to tell them that they're not that, but we have to also tell them what they are. And then they have to start telling themselves that. You know, if we all started to say, you know, we're a country that has had really bad problems, but we are a country that is getting better every day. We're a country where our citizens care. We're a citizen that cares. I struggle sometimes, but I am finding my way to new ideas and new ways to care to make my country better. That would change the world overnight. Somehow or another, we need to find ways to tell ourselves these things and to teach it to our children, because they are extraordinarily lost right now. But the good news is they are capable of they're capable of more stuff than we can possibly imagine. And they are going to change the world. And it may not be the way we like it, but if they're smart, if they have been taught proper principles, they will change it, and it will be for the better. All right, Back in just a minute. First, John Solomon's coming up in just a second. Let me tell you about Relief Factor. You don't notice your knees when they're working properly. You don't think about your back when it's not hurting. It's the most amazing thing. You don't appreciate your body until that starts to hurt or not work. And then you're like, wow, I think my legs are the most important thing. And then your back hurts. And you're like, nope, I think my back is the most important thing. You realize how amazing the human body is. And when you hurt, all you want to do is help that amazing body help itself. Well, that's what Relief Factor does. It is designed to tackle the root causes of pain, working with this amazing machine, our body. And the pain is caused by ongoing inflammation. In fact, most of our disease is caused by inflammation as well. So doctors got together. They tried to come up with a formula that is all natural, that just assisted the body in helping. It's not masking the pain. It's not tricking your body. It's helping your body do what it does naturally. And it's a simple daily supplement that helps your body do what it's made to do, and that is heal. If you've been living the kind of truce with your pain, just accepting it as part of getting older, you owe it to yourself to try something different. Start with their 3-week quick start at relieffactor.com. If you don't feel a difference in 3 weeks, you don't have to keep taking it because it probably won't work for you. But if you do feel any difference at all, if you start noticing the absence of pain or the reduction of pain in places that used to scream, you'll know. Keep taking it because it just gets better and better. Give their 3-week quick start a try for only $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com. That's relieffactor.com or call 800-4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF.
Dumping DC's garbage while the swamp cries constitutional crisis. Beck is back after this.
Hey, let me tell you about diets, because those are, of course, important. It's getting this summer. That's when you start thinking about it. Maybe you're just hangry and miserable as you go through a diet. You count every calorie, you avoid every carb, and somehow you just feel like you're failing anyway. And worst of all, the second you stop, all the weight comes rushing back. Well, guess what? There's finally a way to skip all the drama. It's called Lean. Doctors created Lean because they realize weight loss shouldn't make your life worse. Lean is a simple, everyday supplement made from powerful natural ingredients. One of those ingredients is an amazing extract from a cactus, which is native to India. Basically, it helps you naturally control your appetite, and it supports healthy blood sugar levels, and it even turns your stored fat into actual energy. Helps you stay full longer. It avoids energy crashes, and also makes you feel more in control of your health without torturing yourself. There's no weird diet plan. There's no expensive prepackaged meals, no injections, and no gimmicks. Just practical help to manage your weight and feel energized and keep your sanity intact. And isn't that what you've been waiting for probably a long time? Sometimes the answer to what you're looking for is right there in front of you, and you can try it right now. It's the perfect time. Get you started with a 20% off deal right now if you use the code BLAZE20. It's at takelean.com, takelean.com. The code is BLAZE20 at takelean.com.
Welcome to the program. If you think about some of these things, we have to stop saying, how long have we been told we're racist? We're racist, we're sexist, we're bigots, we're bad people, we love slavery, all of this stuff. And what do we say? I'm not racist, I'm not that, I'm not this. Got to start just saying who we are. I love people. I love people of all different colors and walks of life. I am excited to be around people that are different than me. But I do believe in the truth scientifically.
Glenn Beck.